Kaela Vance, and today on the Cultivating Calmness Podcast, I want to talk a little bit about change. So before we get there, have you ever read a book, watched a film, maybe sat in a lecture or learned something new, and whatever it was, whatever you heard or saw, it just clicked for you? I know that I've had many of those moments over time, but the one that stands out the most for me in my health journey and in my therapy journey. I have been a therapist and had my license now for, I think it's been 11 years. And in that time, I can look back and I can see where I have changed from where I used to think one thing to where I think and believe and practice something different today. And that is because I've had these moments in time where I have learned something new, been faced with something challenging, and kind of went with it, or it just clicked for me. And so I'm just curious, for you out there listening, if you've had those moments, whether that's in your professional life, your personal life, spiritual life, whatever it may be. I would love to hear about those things, but I want to share a little bit about mine and how I got to where I am today with the idea of change. And in deciding what to do and talk about today, this topic alone could go off on so many tangents. So I'm going to try to keep it concise, and I'm going to try to, keep it on track. But if I go off on a tangent, I'll just apologize now, because it is possible. I have some ideas and I will try to stick to those. But for me, this journey, I would say, started probably 11, 12 years ago. I've had several family members who have lived more holistically for most of their lives, and actually that was something I only, had learned in that time around 12 or so years ago, and I didn't realize that they had practiced that way. But I went to visit an aunt in Arizona, which is why I like saguaros. I fell in love when we went to visit her that first time. And, I learned a lot about doing things more holistically, more naturally, and came home. And that was kind of my first push, I guess, in doing things in that way. If you ask my sister, she'll tell you that she's like, you came home from that vacation and you were different. You were like, we're getting rid of this, we're doing this, we're not doing that. I don't remember that in that way. So she was on the receiving end of that. And so that's how she recalls it. And so I believe that. I just know that kind of clicked for me, and I started doing things more naturally then. And I had already, been looking into and learning things, but it wasn't really, on my mind as much. And then when I was pregnant with my first child, I was more there, and I was researching more and looking more into things that I would want to and not want to do for him. And, and feeling pressured to get a certain procedure that many pregnant women get. And I guess it wouldn't be called a procedure, it'd be a product. I got a vaccine, and it's something that I wouldn't do again and haven't. But that really pushed me into more research. So for me, that was one of those pivotal moments. I had gotten that vaccine and my arm, swelled up more than I thought was normal. And to me, I said, like, this isn't right. But you often hear that, oh, that's normal. That's a normal reaction to have to a vaccine. And I didn't believe that. I had posted something online, and I had a different aunt reach out to me and send me an article, and I read that, and that kind of put me down a path into more research. So I researched, it sparked me to make changes. It sparked me to read more on health topics and to learn more about natural healing and natural like immunity and ways to support my health in natural ways. And that was in like my personal, private, like health realm. So that wasn't even in therapy world yet. And all of that started to change along with those changes that I was making in my life. So for me, it started in, knowing somebody who taught me something new, and it connected, it resonated with me. And then it was something that happened to me that maybe some would view as not a big deal. And then maybe in the big picture, it wasn't. But to me, it sparked questions. It sparked, inquisitiveness and curiosity and confusion and, many things. And it wasn't, where I am today hasn't happened overnight. It's not something that I just came upon and decided. Now, sometimes that happens for people, but it is something that has grown and changed with time and is constantly growing and constantly changing. Another area where it sparked me to change was, having a bout of like eczema. I would have eczema flare-ups, and it was in a really awkward position. It's actually like in and around my armpits. So it'd be really red. And so like in summertime, wearing like tank tops and bathing suits, I'd have this big rash, or I'd have a rash like on the inside of my arm. And for the longest time, I didn't know what that was, why it happened. And then I stopped, I realized what it was, and I don't remember the exact order of events, but one thing that caused or causes the eczema to happen in my body is Starbucks coffee. How did I figure that out? Well, I had been drinking Starbucks coffee because my work had it and it was free. So I drank coffee and I would take advantage of the free coffee. And I had stopped drinking it for a period of time and the rash went away. And then I had a cup, and by the end of the day, the rash was back. And that to me clicked. It made sense, but it took months for the rash to go away. Why? Because of the buildup of the toxins or the allergen in my system and my body being able to heal. So when I didn't have it for a long time, my body was able to heal and it was able to get rid of it and kind of eliminate that inflammation that it caused in my system, leading to the eczema. When I had it again, it was an immediate reaction that I was able to see. And this is a side note. This is where I could totally get sidetracked and go down a fork in the road and talk about allergens, but we're not going to do that today, I promise. But that was another turn of events for me, recognizing, really that the foods that you eat and the things that you do affect the way that you feel and affect the things that are going on in your system. Getting rid of soda for me. No, back that up. Actually, it's, I have done a few sugar detoxes now, and I'm currently doing one. So for June, I am attempting to do a sugar detox. Now, you might say I'm semi-cheating. I'm not doing all sugar, at least not right now. All sugar would mean all gluten and dairy and vegetables that are starchy, and fruit. So I'm not doing that, but I am eliminating all added sugar. And so I am still having some gluten, and usually don't have dairy to begin with, but that might be sprinkled in there. But when I have done that before and done all of those things, my taste buds change. And I am able to tolerate some of those non-sugar drinks like the stevia or the bubbles and the 𝗏𝗂𝗏. I don't particularly like that one, but I didn't used to be able to tolerate any of those, and now I can. And I attribute that to changing my taste buds by getting rid of all the sugar, because when you detox your body from sugar, it's allowed to heal. And I have sugar cravings. I am not perfect. I know how difficult it is. So I'm on day 4. There are cravings. It is hard. And I haven't gone all in. So I'm with any of you who have done that. But I do know the benefits of it. And if you can keep at it, you turn it into a lifestyle change. and you turn into a lifestyle change, it just becomes habit. It becomes what you do. So you don't eat the sugar, you don't have the sugar, and you find other ways of maybe eating sweeter things or ways of eating sweets that are healthy, and your body just doesn't want it or crave it anymore. And again, that's another topic we could go down a rabbit hole for, so we'll save that for another day. But changing my diet, going on no sugar has changed my taste buds. So now when I've done that, because I've eliminated things, when I have them, for example, regular traditional soda like Coke or Pepsi, when I have those, I notice the change. I notice how it makes my body feel immediately. It's like I can tell myself, I know this is bad, but it tastes so good. Oh, but I feel so bad. Oh, but it tastes so good. And I know some of you have that struggle too. I have that struggle. And I know that I don't like how my body is feeling right now. So that's why I am trying to do the sugar detox, get rid of some of that stuff. And hopefully that helps me to feel better and helps me to be more active and do all the things that I want to be doing. But that's just all change, right? Change is hard. So when I encourage my clients to change, I've been there, I'm making changes. It may not be the changes you are making as my client, or you out there, a listener, but it is a change, for me that is difficult. So when we think about making those changes, finding your motivation, finding like, where is that coming from? Why are you doing it? What is the purpose and the goal of, making that change? And that may push you towards, doing that research, finding out why, knowing the cause and effect and the root cause of where some of those difficulties are coming from for you. But really, in my journey to getting here where I am today and leading a more holistic lifestyle and a holistic therapy practice is doing research, is, learning something new and then reading about it and finding out more information about it. And I'm constantly finding new sources. That's like social media is amazing for this, is being able to find other sources and other people out there who are interested in the same things that I am, or even have a slightly different perspective than I have. And I'm able to learn from them and take those things and incorporate it into my practice and encourage my clients to look into things and do some research and try some testing. For me, it's hard because there's so many options, so many things you can learn out there, and it's hard to pick, who do I learn from? What do I learn? There's so much to take in. But when you do, and you find that track and you find those people and you find the information that you're looking for, things just start to click. You get those answers. So another thing that pushed me to talk about this today is I am currently reading, I tend to listen to more books and then I buy them to have on hand to talk to clients or talk to other people about them. So I'm listening to Dr. Daniel Amen's book called Change Your Brain, Change Your Life. And it is a slightly older book. It has been revised, so I'm listening to the revised edition. But in that, he talks a lot about your brain and its functioning and how his practice does a lot of these, what's called a SPECT scan, SPECT, and that stands for Single Photon Emission Computed Tomography. But what that fancy word, what all those fancy words mean is that scan of your brain is evaluating blood flow and activity in your brain. That's something that me as a therapist that I cannot do. So if I see something in you where I suspect, hey, there's trauma, or there's ADHD, or these symptoms exist, we can work on those in session. Like I can talk to you out the wazoo about coping strategies, or we can do the EMDR, and we can talk about your childhood trauma. We can do all of that. But that is not going to change the physiology of your brain. It's not going to change the blood flow in your brain and the activity in your brain. It could, making lifestyle changes and certain supplements, which he talks about in his book, certain supplements or medication. I tend to also err on the side of supplements first and medications, after, if they're necessary. And Dr. Amen, from reading his book, that's kind of what he's done as well. He used to do all medication, has since moved over to more holistic practices, but still utilizes medication when necessary. And sometimes the physiology, the way our brain works, for any number of reasons, may need something to help it function at its best, to get the blood flowing correctly, to get the activity either decreased or increased in certain areas to be helpful to you. So this is where in my sessions, when we talk about making changes and when changes are difficult, or when we're talking about what you can do, I recommend things like testing. So this new thing that I've learned about, which I didn't know about before, fits right in with what I believe. And what I tell my clients all the time is we can talk, we can do all the therapy in the world. I'm not going to change your vitamin D levels. I'm not going to change your hormones. I'm not going to change your blood flow to your brain and brain activity necessarily. So getting a scan, getting your blood tested for your hormones, your vitamin D, etc., any number of things is going to give you answers. With those answers, we can then work towards healing. I may not know personally how to read a SPECT scan, but if I had those results and I knew what those answers meant, we could work on those things in therapy. We could make goals that are more appropriate for you, that would help you specifically, because you as an individual are a unique person. And there's no one size fits all therapy for anybody. So no one therapy is going to work for everyone, for everything. Some people believe that. I do not. I tend to be a more eclectic therapist as it is because of that reason. Just because I'm doing EMDR with you doesn't mean we're going to necessarily do EMDR every session until it's complete, because you may come in with something that we need to work on, that we need to focus on, that's going to take more attention today rather than the EMDR. And I'm okay with that. And the clients that I work with are okay with that as well. But this is all geared towards you, helping you make changes that are going to be more effective. So question I asked you in the beginning, if you've ever read something, learned something new that kind of pushed you in a direction and maybe changed the course of your life. So for me, that's been family, that's been learning about holistic lifestyle, that's been certain instances and things happening to me, happening to my kids, happening to my family members that have opened my eyes, made me question, made me ask, made me look into, and made me understand people and life a lot differently than I used to. And just think about it. What was that for you? What is it for you? Maybe it hasn't happened yet. Maybe it's going to happen. And I look forward to hearing about all those things from you. And I just wanted to share, a little bit about myself and how I got here to where I am. Feel free to send me questions or let me know what you think. Have a wonderful rest of your day, and I can't wait to come back again next week.